Hey, what's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to an all-new Season 3 of the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems. Now, Kits offers a fully loaded cross-channel marketing suite for the real estate industry, including tools to help you manage your business, build mindshare, and drive even more sales. You can learn more about Kits on my site, mindshare101.com, by clicking on Marketing. I also want to share that our push to 100 reviews is still on. We are working to get to 100 reviews on iTunes, and so here's how this works. Go to iTunes, rate the show, leave a review, and you will be entered into a draw to win a free one-to-one strategy coaching call with me. Today's episode is number 113. She started in real estate back in 2003. In 2015, she hired her first part-time assistant. In 2016, she moved brands and her assistant became full-time. Since then, she has run as an individual diamond-level Remax agent. She's a certified mentor, luxury home marketing specialist, and new home construction specialist. She serves on her local real estate board, is a volunteer in her community, and she is a supporter of the BC Children's Miracle Network with a percentage of all of her commissions going directly to them. She is also the host of the only real estate radio show in the lower mainland out of Abbotsford BC at Country 107.1. Joining me today on this episode of Season 3 is realtor, investor, and radio host Michele Cummins to talk about unlocking your real estate potential. Michele, welcome to the Mindshare Podcast.
Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing. I'm having a blast. You know what? It's been an amazing start to the week. And quite frankly, and I got to bring it up because, people that have been following are aware that I've got a backyard rink in my backyard. Well, the whole thing about that is we haven't had the proper temperatures for it yet. And as of last night, we finally dipped down to double-digit negatives, which is, for a lot of people, they hate the cold. Like, Mother Nature, thank you. So anyways, I got a big smile on my face. Plus, the Leafs are playing tonight. Things are good. And business is good. Yes, thank you.
See, positive. Double digits? Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
we're like
God.
1 degree, and we're like, oh, my gosh, it's going to be -1 soon.
You know what? The -1 does not bode well when you're trying to build a backyard rink. And with all this COVID going on, I mean, the fact that we are on a rink 6 times a week with my son playing hockey, on a regular basis for COVID to come in and do what it's been doing, we're just, there's nothing to do. Everybody's bored. So it's a good way for all of us to get out there and exercise and just continue to love the game of hockey. So anyways, we need cold temperatures for all that stuff. But it is a pleasure having you here. We've known each other for a whole bunch of years now, and we're very grateful. You're a very loyal and active member of the Kits Nation, so thank you for that. But I'm excited to get into the conversation with you here.
I have been loving that. Your systems and your mind share, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I've got it right here, my calendar, love it.
Yeah, looking amazing.
Constantly and just yesterday again, and constant emails and texts saying, oh my gosh, Michele, thank you so much. It means so much to them because it's so personalized. And I haven't looked back working with you and hiring your services. It's just brilliant. I love your hashtag mindshare101.
Thank you. No, we're very appreciative.
Smart.
But, as I was reading, as I was going through and getting prepped for today, looking through everything that you're up to, which just like, I'm on cloud 9 for you because I've been watching it. I've been watching the successes. I've been watching all the good things happening to you, which is amazing. And going through the bio, I saw one thing there where you said, about your motto, and it was do what it takes. There's no ceiling on real estate, which means you can go as far as you personally want to. I wanted to ask you, tell us more about that. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? What should that mean to other people?
Well, once you actually really think of it, it's mind blowing. Like, it's crazy. Real estate doesn't have a ceiling. You can do anything you want. There's so many aspects of real estate, and the most wealthiest individuals got there through real estate. So why not be a realtor and sell real estate, but not just stop there, because so many realtors, most realtors aren't investors themselves. They are just there to sell real estate. And a lot of them don't see it as a business, like
Hmm.
they're running a business. They just think, oh, license, and I'll sell a couple places a year and life is good. But they're just totally cutting themselves short. Like, why not jump into it, love it? There's so much to love about it. If you don't like commercial, do residential. If you don't like that, maybe you can put some land together. If you don't like that, maybe just do some flipping or some building, or there's just so much to do with real estate. It's just so fun and it never gets boring. Every day is not the same. Every transaction is not the same and every client's not the same. And it's so wonderful to be able to break through people's short mindset on, what they can do. Like so many people, it's hard to get into your first place or even own real estate. But once you actually break through the unknown, the fear goes away, and you got to jump through that first hurdle and trust people along the process. But boy, is it ever so satisfying. And seeing not only realtors being successful because they really believe in it, trust in the process and its consistency. Yeah, it's just, there is no ceiling. And as soon as I realized that, my whole business changed, my mindset changed, my strategy changed, and I had so much more fun doing it too. So
Okay, so for you particularly, when you say you first realized it, was it you first realized that you could dive into all these different aspects, being like res and commercial and new homes and new buyers and all this stuff, or was it you found something specific that you went, wait a second, like this avenue is my calling?
you know what, at first, very first, I just jumped into it not knowing much because I knew nobody in real estate. I didn't have family in real estate. I was new to Canada, even. I didn't have any family here besides my husband's family. And really, I'm a very introvert. So I don't have, I, didn't- I just didn't have a lot of friends. I was working a breeding horse farm. So I was always on the farm. So I didn't really visit with people or know people. So when I got into it, I really knew nothing. Now I did have acting. I wanted to be an actor, and that was my passion. And that's sort of how I got into real estate. So I wasn't planning on building my real estate portfolio or even having. I was just thinking I need my phone on me all the time, and I need to have flexible hours. Those were the two reasons I got into real estate. But then my eyes were opened, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so it kind of, we only have 100% to put ourselves into anything fully and very well. So I like, why not do what you do well to 100%? Why only do 25% here and 25% there and 50% there? Like, I wanted to just dive into it. So I told my agent, I'm going to be a realtor. Give me a year and then I'll come back. Well, it was 5 years later I realized that, oh my gosh, my first love is acting, and here I am selling real estate like crazy and loving it. But I got to go to my back to my first love. So I tried that, but I realized after another, I think, 5 years of struggling, trying to do well, I did good in both. I was doing pretty good in acting. I was doing pretty good in real estate, better than the average. But that's because I do try to put 100% of myself into. But doing both, I knew I was cutting myself short on both ends. I wasn't as great as I could have been and successful in acting, and same with real estate. I knew there was so much more. So I had to make a decision. And that's when I made the decision in 2000, and I think it was 13 or 14, that I just can't do both 100%. I got to totally focus in real estate. And ever since I made that mindset, literally, and I had a whiteboard and I said, well, the saying goes, and I'm going to read it because it's amazing. A
Yeah,
dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A
a goal with a
goal broken down.
plan becomes a plan.
Yes.
A plan written down
A s-
becomes reality.
yeah, exactly.
Did I get it?
And there's steps you got to take. And then that plan, those steps backed with action, your dreams come true. And it's so true. I had a whiteboard, I still have it, and I put a whole bunch of magazine clips and everything of what I want. What do I want in life? What does my future, what do I want it to look like? If there was no ceiling on what you can do and have in life, what would it look like for me? And until I sat down and really searched my heart and myself and what does that look like? I had no clue. So I started going, oh, I want to travel. I would love to have uh, a log home on the water. I would love to have, and it's horses again. And, all these things started coming out. I want to go on a cruise. All this stuff started happening. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have something to look forward to. I have something to attain, not just nothing in the air, right? Just, oh, daily living. Well, no, that wasn't good enough. So as soon as I did that, my mind was on, then it was do what it takes, that motto of how do I get there? How do I make that happen? Well, and then your mind answers the questions for you when you start asking yourself. It just naturally happens, and it's like when you buy a car and you never see the car before, but it's all of a sudden you buy one. Like I bought Dodge Ram Longhorn. Now all of a sudden I see them everywhere because I'm so high
Yeah.
sensitive to it, because I loved it and I wanted it. And it was one of the things I wanted on my whiteboard. And now all of a sudden I see them everywhere. So it's sort of that thing, is that your mind starts creating and recognizing the things you have to do because they're out there for you, like the answers. So that's just what happens. It's just
I
amazing. So do what it takes, because also it's not easy.
No,
Yeah, you
it's
were going to
not.
say.
No, it's not, and I'm with you. I'm smiling from ear to ear because we have spent, especially with our Mindshare Masters and all my coaching clients, we have spent I mean, now what? We're sitting January 20th today. Um, Back in the almost beginning of November, I started pressing, okay, goal setting, planning, goal setting, and I did have some people going like, dude, don't you think you're like a little bit ahead of the game here? And I'm going, uh-huh, absolutely. We want to be ahead of the game because we're going to start ahead of the game. We're going to continue ahead of the game, and we will always be ahead of the game. Now, in order to get where you want to go, you got to know where you're going. Hence the goals, the plans, understanding that stuff. So I am completely bought into all of that stuff. I believe it for myself. I believe for other people that are doing it. That is where success comes from. You have to know what it is you want in order to get there. Because if you don't know what you want, how are you supposed to ever get there? Now, I also want
It
to ask you,
actually catapults you. Yeah, having that goal and that dream and that, well, some people call it why.
right?
It catapults you, it gives you encouragement, it makes you focus, and it helps you have the discipline you need. It's like, oh my gosh, if you keep on seeing, what you want to be on your weight, and it helps you focus, right? Whatever it is, your mind just helps you get there. Yeah, you've got to, it's really important. And I mean, I have written down in my notes on my phone what I wanted. I was searching, it was yesterday or the day before, and I was just looking, oh my gosh, and I was reading all the things that I said that I wanted. Oh, I see myself, I love this, I love that. And I was reading it it was actually, one of them was about what house I wanted.
Yep.
Like I had already owned a place, but it wasn't my dream place anymore. And I'm like, well, what would my dream house look like? Because I'm thinking in the buyer's minds, the question I ask is, what does your dream house look like? What kind of hobbies do you have? What have you always wanted? If there was no limit on price or this or that, what do you love? And so I had written that down for myself years and years ago before I got the place I'm in now. I'm in my home office right now, and every single thing on that list, and it was a specific list, every single thing this house has. So it's just, again, it's amazing. I look back and I go, I never actually even looked back at that before. I wrote it down once, but something to do about writing something down or getting it from your mind onto something. Of course, this was my notes in my iPhone, but just writing it down or getting it down, there's something that connects your brain to it, and it just cements it inside your brain. And our brains are amazing.
You you
Our
you
minds.
you have to do the brain dump because there's so much that swirls around in these minds every single day, especially with the influx of messaging we get from all the different channels we get through that smartphone of ours. You've got a brain dump. There's too much going on, and I actually take my goals, the big lifetime, the house, the this, the that, and I break it down to hourly action items. So when I review every single morning before I start anything else, after I have, my hydration, after I get my vitamin D, I move into my review. And my review is, what do my goals look like? And once I'm looking at my goals when it comes to a daily action, they're actually decimal points. Now, how can you get a 0.025 deal today? That makes no sense, right? But if we said, well, that equates, and we'll just random numbers, to one deal every 4 days, well, how much easier is it to think I got to get 0.025 today or 0.25 today? You get what I'm saying? Once we break it down, we
Yes,
make it so digestible. It's like you look at yourself in the mirror and go, this is impossible not to achieve this. Now you got to put in the
yeah.
effort, you got to put in the drive.
There's so much coming at us, and our personal lives, our families, work, so much that we have to have consistency. And in order to have consistency for the success we're looking for and to reach the goals we want, it's those action steps. So then you gotta plan your action steps. You got to. So I do a time blocking on my calendar. So every morning I have what I do. Like you, Dave, I first I wake up, I have my quiet time, I make coffee, I have my devotional, I read, pray, really then look at my calendar for the day. After that, I do my exercise, on the days that I do. And then I go at it running, but everything's time blocked of how much time I spend doing this, how much time I spend doing that. And then of course the high priority. It's like you said that like every action hour you have every hour. So when you look at your goals, you can't just look at your goals and then go la la la, they're just going to come to me naturally. I don't have to do anything. Well, you have to do a lot to get to your goals.
That's right.
But you don't have to overwhelm yourself. You just start somewhere and then you repeat all those things and you build up slowly, because success and amazingness does not happen overnight. It's a process.
No, yeah, oh, yeah, it is. And you know what? This is exactly one of the big fundamental steps we work through with our coaching is exactly that, is how do we actually figure out what we want? How do we bring it to life? And I mean, there's a lot of little action steps within that, but how do we bring it to life, right? Now, I also wanted to ask you, because you said that you were new to BC. I think you even said new to the country, but whatever. You didn't know anybody. And that's the thing I want to dig into for a second. You didn't know anybody. We find a lot of people that are new to the industry might have come in from a different profession and they don't know anybody in this network. Um, they might have come from a different country and, moving into or a different neighborhood, whatever. They're new. How do they go out there and build a list? So I'm curious, what did you do when you realized, all right, I'm going to do this real estate thing. I don't even know where to start. I don't know anybody. What next? What did you do?
Yeah. Good question. Well, I jumped in and I just believed in it. I thought, well, if other people can be successful, I can be successful. So I realized I need a lot of training. I need to jump in, and I'm not going to know everything right away. But if I don't know something, I'll always ask. If a client asks me a question, because, oh, you're so nervous, you're new, and what if they ask you something you don't know? Honesty is huge, and they will always read through anything. And I always honesty is the best policy. So I always say, I am new to the market or to the real estate. I will find out for you, and I'm going to get back to you on that. I mean, I've always had success with that. Nobody's gone, oh, what? And I've always in the beginning when people go, oh, are you new? Yes, I am, if they didn't know. But I jumped in by doing everything they tell you to do. I didn't go, oh, I don't like doing that, or oh, that's uncomfortable, or oh, I don't want to be out in the rain, twice a week knocking on doors. I didn't care. I was just like, just have fun with it and make it fun. So I just jumped in and I thought, I'm not going to do too much to where I end up hating it. Like, you work out so much, you overwhelm yourself or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So I would just knock on doors, give myself an hour, I think twice a week. I knocked on doors. I really systemized it. And I jumped in with training, not only I was with Royal LePage before,
Yep.
and I tried to use all their training services. And I took a Buffini course in the beginning that was offered through Royal LePage. And I just took whatever I could and I just soaked it in, wrote it down, and then I said, okay, I can do this and this and that on that. So I actually put action to it. I made it happen. I just didn't, when you go to conferences and you go to webinars and you learn all this stuff, but if you don't take action, then it's useless. It's gone. So I try to really take action. And I think that's what really helped. Do what it takes. And you have to do the work. You have to put the work in. There's no two ways around it. And
So
yeah.
so that's a good segue then into, when shit hit the fan last year in March, COVID like literally came through and finally they said, "Okay, now we're starting to put restrictions. Now we're starting to change the way things happen." What was the first thing that you did for your business when COVID hit and everything essentially did start to shut down? What were your first steps there?
Well, in BC, we real estate was an essential
Mhm.
business, an
Mhm.
essential one. So I always try to stay up to date on news and information. That's the big thing about success too, is I try to always know what's happening before it happens, so I can be the advisor and not the one that finds out later.
Okay.
So I was really on top of it. My assistant instantly before the office closed already, I said, work from home. But I always promoted on my social media, in my e-newsletter. I called a few clients, I texted, these kind of things. I just stayed in communication. I tried to be the advisor, but also be encouraging, saying, hey, this is what's happening, but we all still need to. There's people that need to move into the area. They need to move out. There's different reasons why real estate is still essential and needs to happen. So we have all these precautions in place. And this is what it looks like. And it can still be done safely. And so I just try to make sure I encourage the general public because everyone was confused. And at the beginning, everyone thought open houses weren't allowed, but in the area, they were allowed. They just had to be done properly and within the guidelines. So again, it was just confusion. People were confused and they were scared and they were fearful. So I really tried to break that and get rid of all that fear, and try to just let them know, you know, we're going to be okay if you do the right things. It's just another thing. Life isn't perfect. We'll always have things come up, and it's how we deal with them. It's how we, react or treat the issues in our lives that makes us successful and get through them better people. Yeah.
I love the positive vibe. I really do. I believe in it so strongly. I believe that we need to be grateful for the good things that happen in life. I think that, we need to look at the negatives that happen or the moments that, didn't go the way we wanted to. We need to learn from them. We need to use them to make us better. And this is one of those moments where, when COVID hit, I know a lot of people went into hiding. And I mean, huge unknown and no fault to anybody. I mean, huge unknown. Nobody's seen this before. This is unprecedented for all of us. This is brand new territory. Um, what ended up happening though was because of the uncertainty and because of the fear and because the, folks, trying to navigate, we saw a lot of people in this industry that really stayed in hiding. And then we saw a lot of others that kept going full bore. And I have a lot of stories now from people that have said they had their best years ever last year. I haven't spoken to many people that say, um, yeah, I had an average year. People either had a really, really good year or a really, really bad year. And I think just blunt and simple, this came down to what did you do to actually get out there and have a better year? What did you do to actually take what you're learning and what you're, all the communication opportunities you have to connect with people and share to people, hey, listen, it is what it is. But if you want to do something or you want help with something, or hey, I'm just here for you. There's opportunities to do that stuff, and it sounds like you really ran with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah.
no,
And
no,
I knew that other realtors were in hiding and they were letting the fear guide them, or call it, like, I was just like, oh yeah, I'll have 2 months off finally. Oh, I haven't had any time off in many years, this will be great. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to let laziness overwhelm me in a moment where people need advice. Really, they need that encouragement. And so I said, no, I'm not going to get lazy and just use it as a vacation
yeah,
to stay hhome all the
yep.
time. And no, I'm going to be, do my job. So I kind of just look at that. But I do love working, and that's in my, yeah, it's just in me. So, but also I just see the benefit and being there to help people. And it was amazing how many people wanted to, but what didn't know they could list, or,
Right.
there's all sorts of things. So it's communication. It's huge. It's one of the biggest things.
Huge. Communication is so important with everything you do. Everything.
Yeah.
So tell me this, because you know, you mentioned that it was in kind of maybe 2013 where you started to go, okay, let's go full time, and then 2016, it seems like you really hit your stride based on what I've learned. Um, like you never really looked back, and you know, it's natural for um, it's natural in sales to want to wake up every morning and find a deal at the front door. Like open up the door, it's like they delivered the paper, they delivered the deal. There it is. But that doesn't happen. It it doesn't happen like that, right? So we know and we've talked about you gotta put in the effort. You've gotta really be focused. You gotta know what you want. What is what's your thing? Um, what is that non-negotiable that you do every day? And I love it because you've already talked about time management. We've already talked about positivity, knowing what you want. But I was just on a coaching call this morning, one of the many that we were on this morning, and one of my clients said, and he's newer. He goes, "What are the routines that like the top producers do? What is that thing that top producers do to get business?" And the reality is, we all know that's a very loaded question, right? But I'm curious, what do you do? What is your thing?
I love it. And there's not one thing,
I figured as
there's
much.
multiple of things. Yes.
So tell us about the things.
So it's not as quick, but okay. One thing is, as we talked about, communication, but huge is follow up. Oh my gosh. So it's following up with people, because so many times they don't follow up with you. They're not going to naturally. Like yesterday, a realtor who had referred me somebody followed up with me and asked me, "Oh, how's so and so going?" And because I was asking them about another referral that I hadn't heard from, and that it hadn't got back to me or whatever. Anyways, and it made him think of this other somebody, and I'm like, I need to call him. So I called him instantly, and oh my gosh, he was in an area, and he was we were chatting, and sure enough, he's actually looking at making a purchase somewhere and doing something, and who knows if he would have ever reached out if I hadn't. So long story, but following up is so very important with your buyers. If you don't hear from them, you always think, oh, they'll call me. No, they won't. You have to be the one to call them. Staying humble, giving information to people, huge. Like, be the one to bring them value by bringing them information. I made a few calls the other day, and I'm like, your BC assessment has gone down, but oh my gosh, this is what the market is like today. You probably have a lot of questions. So, like, using opportunities and doing something about it. So, if I didn't have time blocking in my calendar, it would be really easy to just, spend more time, taking walks or being out in nature, or maybe going shopping, or watching the YouTubes more, or you can time goes by so fast. So you can't buy time, and you lose time every minute. So just realizing, no, there's time for me to eat and take a bath. There's focused time on spending time with my husband. There's focused time, and of course they all have to be time blocked. So what, and that's where it brings you success, because it's the consistency of what you do, that builds the momentum and builds that ladder of success. So okay, so following up, time blocking, bringing good value information to your clients, listening. Oh, that's a big one. Listening to your clients, listening to their needs. Call them, ask them how they're doing through all this, and then just listen. You don't have to, you'll know what to say and how to answer and how to advise and what to talk about. The flow will happen from there. So listening is so very important. And yeah.
I'm sorry. I love what you're sharing here. In the most respectful way, it is so basic, yet it
Yeah.
really is so
Yeah.
profound, right? Because this is really what it's about. I mean, oftentimes what's happening is folks are looking for a follow-up system, a follow-up process. Give me the checklist and let me put everybody on that. And I got a good buddy that always uses the line, set it and forget them, and set it and forget you, right? So we cannot automate a relationship. There's certain pieces of it.
Oh,
For
that's
example,
true.
the newsletters that you do through kits and sending calendars up, that can be automated. That can happen passively, delivering a business message. But there's something massive. There's something very, very important to building a relationship that says, look, I'm going to build a relationship with you. I am going to add value to this relationship. I am going to communicate and I'm going to listen to you. And when I look at that and say, but that's just one person, well, how do I do that with everybody? Hey, how are you managing time? What are you doing and
Mm.
how are you planning to connect with more people? We see this problem all the time. I mean, when I mention about, people that had their best years ever and some people that didn't have as great years, when you ask and say, well, what are you doing? Well, no, I don't. I'm asking you, what are you doing? Are you making your phone calls? Well, no, not well. Are you yes or no? Well, no. Okay, but you need to, right? Yeah. Do you know your business comes from there? Yeah. Why aren't you making your calls? I don't know. Okay, listen, let's stop right now. Let's wipe off the negativity. Let's wipe off the thing. Let's pick up your chin. Go make your calls. I know I really need to. No. You need to, but go
You
and
know,
do it.
maybe they just overwhelm themselves with, oh, I have to make so many calls a
Absolutely.
day. Well, you know what? Just start with one conversation. Just reach one client or one prospect and just ask them how they're doing. Let the conversation flow. And if you to focus on them as a human being, as a fellow human being that loves and that cares and that, you each have something to give each other, don't just look at it as real estate, me, I got to sell, sell, sell. You can't think that way. Like, yeah, we're salespeople, but that's like the last thing you kind of focus on, right? So it's all about people. It's a people business. It's real estate is everyone needs a roof over their head. So okay, you can offer that, but what else can you offer? Get into it. Get into something you love about it and know what it is you love about it and share that. Like me, it was like unlocking your real estate potential into their first place. Not and they don't even think about the second and third and all they can be in real estate, especially people stuck in a 9 to 5 job. And it could be a great career. They could be doctors or lawyers or, teachers, they could be having great careers, but they're stuck making a certain amount. And they're like, well, what can I do with, how do I save? And where do I put my savings? Oh, stock market, I guess. Like, it's like, there's so much in real estate that you can enjoy yourself and help others enjoy and offer housing to people as well. So it's like there's a lot. So if you just see people as people who also want to be successful like you and help, how can you help them be successful? And then it changes the whole atmosphere. And just say, meeting people grows your ability in life. It grows your knowledge. Just having a conversation with somebody about what they know is amazing. You're getting as much out of the conversation as they are. So if you're not so focused on, what can they give me, just focus on them as a human being and sharing with each other, and it grows from there. That's what
We are
I'm
people,
focused
we are
on.
not leads, right? I am a
Yes.
father, I am a husband, I have a mortgage to pay for, I'm a business owner. Treat me as a human being, learn who I am, and try to work with that and build the relationship, right? So,
Yes.
how important, what kind of weighting, what kind of importance, let's talk database for a second. Like, how important is the database? And when you talk about calling people,
Oh, yeah. Okay. So annually in January,
right?
so this time of year is my time where I go through we have a system called Paragon here. Like, it's
Yep.
just, well, whatever system you have with all of your clients in it, wherever system it is. So I always look at that. I search their address on the MLS system, just in case I didn't do a good enough job of communicating with them, and maybe they sold with somebody else or something, and then maybe the relationship isn't as good as I'd hope, but that would be my fault for not following up and communicating, right? But if I lost a client to somebody else, but that's where I call through that, and it does take a long time, but I try to reach them that way. I try to connect with them on social media to build that relationship, and so they don't forget I'm a realtor. My database is everything. It's the free way of making the most money without spending any money. You've got people naturally. It takes time to build it at first. My first one was the door knock, and a cute couple, and it was a townhouse, and they're like, oh, sweetie, are you new to real estate? And I said, yes, I am. And you're like my first door I'm knocking on. I just got my license last week.
How did they
And they're
respond
like,
to that?
come on in.
Yeah.
Oh, they invited me in. And I got their listing like that day. They're like, honey, we have been thinking about selling and we'd love to list our house with you. And then they bought something
Wow.
with me. And then they
So your first
referred
deal
me
was
to,
actually from a door knock?
yeah.
Yeah. Look at
And
that.
that's why I still door knock today. When I have a new listing in an area and I have time to door knock myself, I really try to spend the
Now
time and door knock
that
at least 30 homes.
that is powerful right there. That is very powerful. Now, again, I get it with COVID going on right now. Door knocking is a little bit different. However, I have been saying this for years. 96% of realtors do not door knock. 99% of realtors who do door knock say they see business from it.
Yeah, it's true, especially and even doing this 17 years or whatever it's been now, and people know that I'm whatever that I'm where I'm at level wise. And when I'm like last year, the year before last year, I was knocking on a door in Harrison Hot Springs. It was
I
pouring
was just there in
rain,
the
but I had a
summertime. Beautiful area.
it is it's
What do you
gorgeous.
mean you're door knocking in Harrison? You're that close?
Yeah, actually, well, I live in Agassiz now, so I actually live only 15 minutes from Harrison Hot Springs,
Oh my
even though my
God. I
office is
rode through
Mission,
your
and then we have
town this
5 offices.
summer, July. I rode on my motorcycle through your town for sure. That's wild.
Cool.
Yeah.
We have a great low heat highway up
Rode it. I rode it.
mountain with
I
sighted on your bike. You probably did that.
I did that one.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I did that
Okay.
one.
Next time you come, you got to let me know because
Okay.
yeah, and I got a cabin you can stay in and everything. So
Oh,
yeah, that was part
wow.
of my
Cool.
process. Yeah, it was part of my investment ladder of what I wanted to do. So yeah, it was really cool. I love it. It's gorgeous out here. So much to do. It's brilliant.
Wicked.
So I
Wicked.
was knocking on the door in the pouring rain, and she goes, I go, hi, introduce myself. I just listed a property down the street here, and I wanted to let you you have friends or family who you would like to move into the neighborhood to be closer to you and things like that. And then of course it goes to, no, but we're kind of thinking of selling ourselves, and she goes, why don't you go around the back through the gate and walk into my husband's workshop there. He's in there. He'd love to talk to you. And I'm thinking, okay, it's almost getting dark and it's
I was going to say,
raining.
tell me you didn't just walk into this like Randy, you did, eh?
I was like, I'm like, she told me just to walk in that he would like it, but it was so uncomfortable because I had to open a gate. I felt like I was, in a place I shouldn't be, and then
Yeah.
just open the door, not even knock. But of course, I had to knock because I just couldn't just open the door. He doesn't even expect me. But sure enough, come on in. So I came in, and him and his dog, and he had a wood burning fireplace. He was so welcoming. He
Oh,
goes,
cool.
"Who are you?" And then I was telling him, and yeah, your wife told me to come and see you. And he goes, come over here and sit by the fire. So I sat by the fire, had a 5-minute conversation. He goes, come warm up by the fire. He was so impressed that I was knocking on doors in the rain. He and his wife
Wow.
both were like, we wouldn't list with anybody else but you because
These are what do you
you
talk
do
about
what it takes.
champion success stories, right? Like I was doing it in the rain. Um, so okay, door knocking. What else are you doing? So we talked door knocking, you're doing newsletters, you do a lot of phone calls. What else are you doing to build mind share on a consistent basis?
Okay, so this month
Social
as
media, your
well.
Instagram is obviously on fire. I watch your Instagram.
Yes, well, everything is really online. That social media is so important. And I remember my first few years when I did my annual looking at my clients and, what did they do the year? And when I saw them sell with somebody else, my gut, oh, it hurt
Oh,
so bad.
for
But it was
sure.
my fault because I didn't communicate with them. When I call them to, ask, I always ask if I lose business when I like should have been the realtor. I asked, what was it that made you go with somebody else? I always ask that question. I said, I really want to be a better realtor,
It's a
be
great
a better
question.
service provider.
Yep.
And what was it? Like, be honest, because I need to learn and I need to be better. I want to be better, the best I can be. And they always share, and it's great. It was amazing. So I know that one. She's all, well, I didn't know you were still in real estate. It was like 3 or 4 years after I got into real estate. I remember the one conversation clearly. And because she didn't know she goes, if I knew you were still selling real estate, oh, Michelle, I would have used you. And I'm like, well, that's because I didn't communicate, I didn't follow up, and I didn't stay connected. So now with social media, it's so beautiful. I always try to connect with my clients there, always try to reach out, again, time blocking of when you comment or follow up or have a look at what they're doing, and, building that relationship and making it doesn't have to be about real estate, because they'll see that you're still in real estate naturally by the things you post or by this or that, or you giving valuable information or mentioning something that you think is important nearby. But yeah, and that really, really helps. And this, I just the other day, also annually, I look at all my transactions,
Mm-hmm.
and I did about 100 transactions last year, and I look at where do all those transactions, where did they come from, who were they, and I have a breakdown, and my most transactions came by repeat clients
Of course.
last year, second most by client referrals,
Of course.
and third by realtor referrals, Google searches, my advertising on REW, social media, So, you look at what works, what's working, what's happening. And I did not always have client repeats, and client referrals was not one of my major things. But I think because I've been more focusing on people and communicating, and that's built itself up a lot more in the past so many years.
Well, there's the process behind, building mind share. It's that whole idea of thinking to yourself, and I mean, the ultimate marketing bundle that I wrote, which is the free ebook on my website, talks about the 7 ways to communicate with people. And in that, it strategizes, what channel to use, who it's targeting, how to approach that channel, how to really leverage it. And you brought up a great point about social media. It is so important to time block when you're going to go on there and do it. But as you sit back and you say, I can see where my deals go, that is, part of the coaching process we go through is the deal tracking and understanding, so that when we do our marketing plans, when we do our budgeting, we look back on it much the same. You can go, where did my business come from?
Yeah,
What
it's
should I
so
put more
easy.
effort into? And what should I not be putting so much effort into? Where should I spend my money or not spend my money? And,
Yeah.
you say repeat and referral, it's no surprise to me. And this is why I will easily say to everybody, you need to work your contact list. You have to. Bottom line, that is the biggest source of business for you. Work the contact list right off the hop. You will see business come from that.
Yeah. And it's with that hurdle, once you make that first phone call and you just stay consistent with it, you start really looking forward to it. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, who's going to answer their phone today?
Yeah, right? Like, you
And
start to look
you got
forward
to
to the
work it.
calls for sure. I'm so
Yeah.
with you on that, right? So tell me this, what about what's the deal with the radio show? Tell us more about that. Like, why? I mean, it's cool. Why do you do it? Is it mind share? Is that
I,
bottom line?
oh, well, I never ever thought I would ever be on a radio show. Like, never a thought. But how I got into real estate was an open door. My mind was like, oh, I need my phone on me all the time. I need a flexible hour. So I started seeing any opportunity that I can think of, and I was praying about it and just focused on, okay, what could it be? And boom, a realtor walked in, me, and was like, oh, you're good on computers. Why don't you be my assistant? And whatever, right? How it started. I saw it as an open door. This could be the answer. So same thing with that is just seeing doors that opportunities, right? And just going for it. And so I got a call. I was so busy, right? Busy life of a realtor. I was so busy, and I got this call. One of my sisters were coming up from California to visit me for the first time. And I had just moved into my dream place, a year or so before that. And I got this call. Actually, my assistant goes, hey, Michelle, Country 107.1 called. They want to interview you to be on a real estate radio show that they're creating. And I was just like, what? When do they want to meet me? This is interesting. Why did they call me? So you ask those questions. Anyways, so they wanted to see me 11 a.m. the next day. And my sister was in that morning, and we had plans. And
Oh
I'm like,
no.
shoot, how do I, oh my gosh, my sister's never been here. Finally, she's visiting. And I'm like, well, ask them if my sister can come with me. I'm happy to do it at that time. So I thought, okay, I could move my schedule around, but I still want to be with my sister. I only see her a few days. So if she can come with me, sure. So they're like, of course, bring her along. So it was hilarious. So my sister went in to the interview with me just to be with me. And it was awesome. So anyways,
So fun.
long story, but they called me and a couple other realtors out of the Abbotsford area, and they said that they had done some research and they wanted one of the top rating agents, and so that's it. They interviewed me,
Cool.
and actually before the end of the interview, I said I've learned to make instant decisions too. Like if something feels right, I go with my gut a lot, and if something feels right, and if it's an opportunity, if no matter how fearful it is, and how could I be a good radio host? Like why me? There's so many other people that can do it. Why me? But you know what? It's an opportunity given to me. I better take it and do my best. And if it doesn't work out, then I go do something else, or something else happens, and no harm done. I just have to try then. So at the end of the interview, I said, well, if you commit to me right now, I'll commit to you. and they looked at each other, and they're like, yes, absolutely. We'd like to commit to you. So right then and there, we signed everything up, and I went into the studio where they said my second home is going to be, and the control room. And I got some great photos and video, and it was fun, and left and hung out with my sister for the next few days. And lo and behold, I had signed in, within a half hour before that. I didn't know I was going to do it. So that's what, 2.5 years ago or whatnot, 115 or 114 episodes, and going
cool.
strong and loving
That's
it.
amazing. Love it. Consistency.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, my
That is very
co-host is
cool.
awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So 2021, different day, different world, different market, different everything, limitations on door knocking, limitations on going to the gym, going to the coffee shop, seeing people. Um, how have you adjusted your strategy this year? I mean, you've shared a ton. I love everything you've been sharing. I've been taking a ton of notes about it. Um, where's your focus in 2021? What's the thing there? I mean, is it, hey, be consistent, stay true to what I've been doing, and just adjust in little ways? I'm just wondering where some of those adjustments, and what are you focusing on?
So I have a word. I come up with a word for the year that I kind of
Okay.
focus on,
Okay. Yeah.
and my word this year is engage. Much like Star Trek,
Engage. Cool.
engage.
I
So
like it.
engage the next plan. Engage that next conversation. Engage with clients and colleagues of yours. Engage meaning connect. Like you have to have goals. You have to know where you're going, and you have to have the steps of where you're going. But like you had said earlier, is what am I doing? Like, am I in the present? You have to be in the present to listen and to take in and to learn, and to you. Just because you have a goal and you've got your steps, you've got to be malleable. You've got to be able to change, with the times, like with COVID last year, and you got to be able to adjust. And so while you have those plans, if you're not in the now, if you're not engaged in the moment in your day, and you just let the day go, and all of a sudden it's 3 years later and you're like, what happened to the last 3 years of my life? Well, it's because you weren't engaged in the moments and in the day. So really focusing on that. So that,
Cool.
that is
Being
my
engaged. I
plan of
like it.
action this year. Yes, and habits is 60 days to form a new habit, something like that, right? So if I have a new word for the year, plus your other monthly things you do and whatever you do, right? Then I'll form that new habit, and I'll continue that, and then I'll be able. So I'm building on my personality. I'm building on my services that I provide. I'm building on my success. I'm building on myself uh, in a daily, but monthly, but annually. It's a build, right? So again, it's not overnight that you're here.
Yeah.
It's a process that you have to realize. You need to give yourself patience. You need to have patience. You need to give yourself the time to build up the success habits, to build up your ability, to build up everything, right? So yeah, engage. That's my thing for this year is, yeah.
Cool. No, you know what? And habit is a big one, right? Especially at this time of the year. This is the moment where a lot of people are falling off of those New Year's resolutions. They're trying to work out, but they're not doing as much. They're trying to do those things, and the first couple of weeks they did, and now it's starting to become a little bit monotonous. And let's go back to the old ways, and but the thing that we got to remember is those three pieces of a habit: the trigger, the action, and the reward. What's going to cause you to do it? What are you going to do? And how are you going to feel when you complete it? And the more often you do that, the better you can feel. Well, it's easier to turn into a habit, or it's easier to get rid of a bad habit. So it's always remembering, what are the steps to that. But I love that. Engage in what you're doing. Be in the moment. Really live for what you're up to now. We've talked about relationships. I mean, we've talked about the importance of communication. And when we talk about unlocking your real estate potential, that's really what it comes down to. How are you going to engage with more people? Open up and be, more conversational, build deeper relationships, and not necessarily always be out there to like, how can this benefit me and get a deal today? But that reciprocity. What can I do to add value
Yeah.
to help you grow? So with all that being said, what last words and or marketing tips can you share with everybody who's tuned in? Sort of some final words here to help everybody get out there and build more mind share.
Well, I'd say stay focused, stay energetic, make what you're doing fun. That all helps. And really, for marketing and advertising, you got to look at what makes sense to your business. You have to spend money to make money initially, right? And then it starts flowing from there. So choose things that will mean the most, will have the most success, which are things that reach out to your um, customer base, your data, right? Or the people that are in your sphere of influence and you already have. So first, how to reach out to them more often and get them to share who you are with their friends and family, right? So how do you do that? Well, social media is huge, and learning it though a little bit. Do a paid boost ad here and there. When people see you around, it's like you've got to touch them 7 times or so before they really think of you as real estate. I had a conversation with a colleague from Texas last week, I think it was, and he's like, "Oh, Michelle, what is it that I want people in Texas when they think of real estate? I want them to think of me.
Oh,
How do
that's what
you
you call
do it?"
mind share
And
right
so
there.
yes, exactly. So how do you get that? And that's being out there, being present, showing up, and that whether it's online, whether it's the phone call, whether it's physically, you can do all these things and still be safe in this environment that we're in today. But yeah, and I wear my Remax, my pin when I'm out and about, I wear it. Yeah, and sometimes that will get you conversations going, right? And I've gotten business from wearing my Remax pin. So, and just be out there.
Very cool. I really love everything you've shared. I love your energy here today. The thought lines are so in line with each other. Tons and tons of value, but only so much time for these shows. So where can people find you and connect with you to talk to you more, other realtors to, network with, or anybody that wants to lean on you or just ask advice or just learn more about what you're up to? Where can they go?
Well, mostly I have a Facebook business page and personal page, but that's real estate in the Fraser Valley, and Instagram. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook the most out of all the social media stuff. But going onto my website, connecting me, michellecummins.ca. Just call me, text me. Like I'm present and I'm available, and I try to get back to everyone in a timely fashion because that's so important in real estate too. So yeah. I love sharing. I always say the reason I'm a mentor, and people go, well, how can you mentor people in your office or other realtors, in your area? Like, how does that work if they're working as an individual realtor and the whole point is to build a real estate career and build the roots so that they can be amazing? And I'm like, because there's enough real estate for everyone. Like there's no shortage of business. Like, I'm not scared that they're going to be so good and I'm going to help them be so good that they're going to take business away from me. No, I am in charge of my business. I'm in charge of my life, and there's lots of opportunities out there for everyone. And 99% of people just don't take the opportunities that are in front of them. So yeah, anyways, how'd I get off that? But yeah, you can reach out to me anyway.
Yeah. No. You know what? But I'm with you. Reach out, get those opportunities. 99% of people don't do it. I say most people don't do it. So don't be most people, right? Michele, thank you.
Thank you.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you downloaded our free Industry Syndicate podcast app, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks for you. Plus, there's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you can get more market share. And if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching to help you get to your next level, just get in touch with me. We'll set up a free consultation call to learn more about what you're looking to achieve and how I will help you do just that. And don't forget, our push to 100 is on. So be sure to go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, leave a review, rate us, and you will be entered into a draw for a free one-to-one strategy coaching call with me. And of course, if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. I want to once again thank our sponsor, Kits Keep in Touch Systems, for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked us out yet, just go to my site and click on Marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.